Ooh, do that one more time. Hello, I'm Sydney Budinsky, and this is my weekly blog. Today, I'm going to go over our ePortfolio update and expectations that are due on the 15th. In terms of progress artifacts collected, I have many photos and videos that I'm going to be adding into my ePortfolio. In terms of in-school activities outside of the classroom, I haven't documented many of those, so it's going to be a little sparse in that area, but I will make it work and I will keep it in mind moving forward. My resume, I just have to upload it, I have it all done. For my About Me section, I thought it was rather fitting to include my teaching philosophy, as it also illustrates who I am as a person and how that translates into as an educator. For letters of recommendation, I've been collecting them both from staff, students, and from Mr. Tim Teagues himself. I am waiting for many of them to still get back to me, and I'm just waiting right now in order to upload them. But many of them are in progress and due to be given to me within the next week or so. I actually made some homemade meatballs and sauce, and I may or may not have used it as a form of bribery. I'm happy to report that the studio is still amazingly clean. My students have really taken it seriously. When they walk in, they feel that it's fitting, organized, and everything has its own place. I really love that they have been responding so well to this, and it's nice to see that they appreciate it and keep it clean. Good job, folks. I've been gifted two things today from my students, one of them being a tiny little paper star that I do love, and a slice of eggnog bread. It wasn't even from one of my students. They just offered it to me and thought it was really great that I would be able to experience it, and it was delicious. In this week, we really just have been progressing on the scaffolded projects that we're doing. A lot of students are wrapping up their documentary projects because they are due next Thursday. And other than that, we have our music video assignment, and if they're not working on their music video assignment, they're working on their next project. So what ended up happening was I was gonna have them do a commercial and a short film, but unfortunately, there's just not enough weeks left in the semester to have both of these in good quality. So I let the students pick which one they would prefer out of the two, and that is our final cumulative task and project for the semester in my second period grade 11 video class. In my fourth period, there are some students that are still wrapping up their photography unit, which is understandable because they were behind to begin with when we started that. Other than that, they're doing their exchange project. It's a project video assignment where they have to have one physical thing exchanged by at least two people. I'm excited to see what they're making. Some of my students have already finished it, and I've given them extra tasks like making PSAs for the BTV morning announcements. They're really excited at the aspect of having their work produced for everybody to see in the school. This week we found out my AT has COVID. It's not the best, but it does give me another opportunity to see what it's like to be on my own in the classroom. A problem we ran into with my AT being gone with COVID was that they have the only key that our audio equipment is allowed to be locked with. In short, my students weren't able to film yesterday when they needed to. Let's take a look at how that went.
Well, can't do my documentary without some sound equipment. No. Why is there a lock here? No, please! Please, it's due tomorrow! No! No!
Today, I took it upon myself after speaking with my AT. I had to talk to Mr. Grant, who is our auto technician teacher. He took a pair of bolt cutters, came down, and was able to cut the lock for us, so we have access to our audio equipment again. I've been thankful for this experience until I had a supply teacher who gave me many learning experiences, for a lack of better words. My supply teacher even gave me notes. I always take some constructive feedback. In short, the first supply that I had was very micromanaging. They demanded to know every little detail of what I was doing, which I'm happy to do, and I usually do debrief my supplies on what we're going to be doing on that day. Where an area of conflict had happened with my first supply, unfortunately, there was an incident where one of my students was filming something and another student that wasn't in one of my classes knocked over the camera and it broke the UV filter. For those that don't know, the UV filter is a glass filter that we put over the lens, and it actually helps prevent glare. Amongst other things, it also protects the lens. So thankfully, when it fell, the only thing that was damaged was the UV lens. A $10 fix, easy peasy. Where the issue arose was once it happened, my student who it happened to was rather distraught. They came forth and showed me immediately what had happened. I consoled them and informed them it was not their fault, it was an accident, and of all the accidents to happen to the camera gear, this is the least of our problems. It's an easy fix, And it's also a learning curve. I know moving forward, this student will be even more precautious, making sure that their cameras are set up in positions where people can't knock them over. They were being extremely hard on themselves when they didn't need to be. But I understand what it's like. When I mess up or make a mistake, or if an accident happens, I am very hard on myself, and I don't give myself the grace sometimes that I give my students, and that is something I need to remind myself. In the midst of all of this, I excused them to the washroom and told them to take a moment to compose themselves. We discussed the issue and it was done. I informed my supply teacher, as I should. I let them know why the student was not in the class at the moment. When they came back, my supply teacher took it upon themselves to call out that student in a very inappropriate manner that singled them out and made them come over and re-explain the whole situation to them and was rather unsavory about the entire thing. They made my student cry. That is a line that cannot be crossed. We are dealing with people that are being driven purely by emotion for the most part at times. And this child was distraught and they had mental anguish because of what had happened. Singling them out amongst their peers and then forcing them to come over and have a conversation that was already had, and I had explained that to them, felt unjust, and it also felt like a weird form of power control. Once my student had started to cry again, I quickly informed them that they could go take their seat and everything was fine. There was nothing further to discuss, and I actually had to step in and say that they had crossed the line respectfully. I simply informed them, I've already discussed this matter with the student. It's going to be taken up with my AT. They know it's not their fault. There was no need to add extra pressure to them or to single them out in front of all of their peers, which is only going to make them more uncomfortable and feel worse about the situation. Overall, it was just an unnecessary step that didn't need to be taken and it had already been resolved. Overall, it was a really successful week. I felt like I've really deepened the connections that I've made with my students. I can see it paying off because they are coming up to me and asking questions more frequently. And overall, I believe the rapport that I've built with them has really laid a wonderful foundation of trust, and they know that I genuinely do care about their well-beings and their success. This is Sydney Badinsky signing off.